My name is Jenny, and I am 24 years old. You know, I have a loving mother and father, great family, wonderful grandparents, and, grew up like every other kid, just experienced life. I was a very active child, and as I got older, I realized that it was my passion is to help people in different ways. So I had studied psychology and prior to the attack, and after that I ended up leaving school, and I really did some deep thinking and realized I wanted to continue to help people in any way I could, and that fitness and lifestyle coaching would be just the way. I was visiting the beach on spring break, and it was my first time there, and I had gone out with a friend, and we had gotten into a little bit of an argument, and I ended up departing from her vehicle, and she drove off. As I was making my way down a street, I was confronted, and that was just about the last thing I remembered. A man began to beat me. He knocked me on the ground and he beat me in the head. And that's when my arm broke because it was protecting my eyes. And I knew in that moment I was gonna die. He's kicking me in the head, he's stomping on my head, and I black out. I kind of was going in and out of consciousness at that point, and I remember kind of being carried by him over his shoulder. And I looked in my arm, the bones were sticking out, and I blacked out again. I woke up in a house, and he was on top of me. He was raping me and beating me. When he realized I came to, he beat me in the head again, and I blacked out. And then I remember just thinking, I thought I had died. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was happening. I remember looking at him and thinking, I don't know you, and why are you doing this to me? And I blacked out again. And I kept my eyes closed at that point. I didn't try to open them. I was really scared. And after he was done raping me, he urinated into my broken jaw, and my maxilla was ripped out. So he urinated into my broken nose and my mouth, and I remember the sensations and how disgusting it was, and I was choking, and I had to just survive. I didn't know what else to do but just lay there and play dead and just pray that he would leave. And I guess once he thought I was dead, he left. And I was so close to dying. I don't even know how I got out of that house. I guess I crawled out, and I went next door, and a little girl, she saw me through her window. She came outside, and she called the police. I was rushed to the hospital, and even that process was extremely traumatizing. I had to be intubated. My jaw was broken. All the bones from below my eye sockets were shattered. All the plates and the bottom portion of my maxilla where my teeth go, it was completely gone from him kicking me so hard and beating me in the head. My nose was completely broken. It was ripped half off, and my tongue was ripped in half, and I had the open bone fractures on my arm. And so they sewed me back up, and I remember waking up from intubation. I had a tube pulled out of my throat, and I'd never gone through that before. I was terrified. I didn't understand what had happened to me. And the nurses, they gave me a piece of paper because I couldn't speak. My jaw was wired shut, and I was so swollen and so beaten that I couldn't talk. And the first thing I did, I didn't write my name. I didn't write anything else except for beaten. I wrote it on a piece of paper. I knew in that moment, even though I was confused and disoriented what happened to me, that a very bad man had just hurt me, and he tortured me, and he wanted me to die. And, you know, I remember looking at myself in the mirror for the first time, and I was thinking about how disfigured and deformed I was, and I never thought that I would be able to show my face again. I didn't know that I would be able to heal. I was devastated. I thought, I'll never have a husband. There's no man that'll ever love me with the way that I look, with my injuries, and the fact that in my mind at the time, I felt like I let it happen. I didn't understand that a person that was never supposed to be here, who was not supposed to be walking free on our streets, who had been locked up numerous times and was not supposed to be in our country, would kidnap me and beat and rape me until my jaw was broken and my teeth were gone. You know, it's been a healing process ever since. I'm still requiring of 2 major bone grafts, one from my hip to replace my maxilla so that they can put bone pockets in and I can have teeth again and can eat like a normal person again. And I need a rib graft for my nose because my septum is collapsed and I cannot breathe right now. And, you know, so we're just waiting on that. But I would say, you know, it's been about a year and a few months past when that happened. So I've had a lot of time for my skin to heal and my bones to heal, but the mental trauma, I'm still healing from that. And every time I talk about it, it's really hard. And there's nights where, you know, I'm terrified and I have nightmares about this person coming back to kill me and kill my family, to torture me. And, you know, I think it's something that may get better with time, but I will live with this for the rest of my life. I will live with what he did to me for the rest of my life, and I will never forget what he did. And, you know, I try to be as strong as I can, but it is incredibly difficult as a young woman to go through something and have your entire face ripped up and beaten. And I do hope that telling my story, I can be a voice for any men, women, and children who have gone through this, to show them that you can do this and you can talk about this. And I pray you will. I really hope that other people will share their story and that they can look at me and know that they can get through it and that life is worth living after this, no matter your injuries, no matter the disfigurations that may have occurred. You can get through this because I'm getting through this. You know, there was support. My family supported me through this, but it broke their reality in relation to their politics, as it did with some of my friends. Now, my friends and family, they're very supportive and I love them, but there were instances with a few where what happened to me seemed to really break their reality, because what they were learning from the news was that this wasn't happening, was that this didn't exist, was that people like that weren't in our country. And it wasn't real. And when this happened to me, and they saw the scars on my face and my missing teeth and my broken bones, and they finally concluded that it was an illegal alien, I think it made them question the reality that was being fed to them.
On Inauguration Day, our border was secure. The Trump policies had slowed illegal immigration to a trickle. But that afternoon, Joe Biden reversed these policies, and in the last 17 months, the Democrats have deliberately admitted into our country more than 2.1 million illegal aliens. Now that is larger than the entire population of the state of Nebraska.
Why did you let this happen? Why did you let it go on when you knew it was a problem? And why were there policies in place that protected people like the man who tried to kill me, who beat and raped me?
Nearly 180,000 illegal immigrants with criminal records ordered deported from our country are tonight roaming free to threaten peaceful citizens. The number of new illegal immigrant families who have crossed the border so far this year already exceeds the entire total from 2015. They are being released by the tens of thousands into our communities with no regard for the impact on public safety or resources.
I told everybody around me, I said, Mr. Trump is gonna fix this. Some people disagreed. They said, no, he's not. And I said, yes, he is. He's gonna take care of us. And he did just that. And I am so thankful because you have saved my life. You have saved many other lives, and you will go on to continue to save lives and protect our men, women, and children. We as Americans have a right to be free on our streets, to go for a jog, to go for a bike ride, without being murdered and raped. I remember thinking to myself, I was so concerned that the man that hurt me was going to get out of jail, or he would be released on bail, and he would go on to hurt someone else. But it was within a few weeks of his election that it was established that all of the people who were doing such acts were going to have to leave the country, and they would not be allowed back because that is not our America. I used to say to my mom, you know, because she'd say, wow, you're healing, you've healed, you look so much better than when you did in the hospital. I told her, you know, I think God's keeping me decent for my husband because I hope to be a mom one day. I want to be a wife. And I would want nothing more in the world to get married one day and to make a man happy for the rest of his life. And, you know, the insecurities brought on by the attack really affected my capacity for dating as a 24-year-old woman. But, you know, my faith kept me strong, and even my faith goes as far as the administration as well. My faith has been in them the entire time, just as it's been with God. And I couldn't have done it. I could not be here today, standing strong or speaking about this without God. I truly do hope that by sharing my story, I can motivate other people to get through this as well. I know there are more people out there. I know there are women like me and others who have gone through similar situations. I know there are families out there who have lost their beautiful sons and daughters, their mothers and fathers, their sisters, their brothers. And you are not alone. And I will be here for you for the rest of my days, and I will make sure for the rest of my life that I never stop fighting for our rights as Americans to be safe in our country, because it is our right. It is our country.